So to demonstrate it, we are going to create a new result page inside the pages folders, and for it I'm going to name it as handler, and we are going to use the partial view. So this result page will also have a model and also a partial view. So apart from that, we will also create one new page which would be named as client. So the concept here is that we are going to create two pages, and one would be treated as handler and second one is be treated as client page. So first times it took time because it was replacing code generations tool from NuGet, and now as you can see that we have one handler models created over here inside the pages folder. So again one add and new eraser page, and this time we are not going to use page models class. That is why I have unchecked it, and I am going to name it as client and add. So now you can see that for the handlers we have one extended icons beside the page, and for the clients it's only .cs HTML. We do not have .cs files. Now I'm going to set a header for both of the header page so that it would be easily to distinguish that which one is client and which one is handler. So I just write one h1 tag, and the same I'm going to use for handler.cs HTML, and inside the h1 tag I have put it handler page. Now by using ISS Express I just clicked on build and run. So it's hello world coming over here. Now change the URLs client to handlers, and then again it means that in the startup.cs we have the all response has been redirected to right facings hello world. So I'm going to comment it as instead of this we are going to use MVC. So for this in the service configurations we have to add MVC, and also in the configure sections we need to use aap.use MVC and with the default route. Now as soon as we click on run, we will able to get those two pages properly directed. Yeah, so client page is here and now handler is here. So we have successfully created client page and handler page with the header, and now what we need to do is in the handler cs html.cs in handler models we have to create http verbs methods like on get is available here. So we should have on post, and this is the naming conventions of the eraser page models in which we have to keep on and then http verbs like get, put, post and all. So now again what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the onGet function, and I have created the snippet to populate the country list, so that I'm going to create a new http onGet which would be onGet countries. So I have already created one http get method which is onGet countries, and now we are going to create another one which would be onGet countries started with, and for this one I am going to use JSON result, which is a cool features of AspTricks.net core, and now I have just renamed it, and also it is taking one parameter. So now as soon as I try to browse it for the first one, this is predefined structures of the URLs in which we have to pass handler as the suffix name of the method name. So we were countries and country they start with. So now you can see that with the country start with, I am just putting a start with as a params and a, because a small a is not been detected, so I am going to use capital A, and now result should be here. So now you can see that for B it's also available, for C it's also available, like this. So now you can see that we have on get countries and on get countries start with. For the on get countries, for the culture information, so we are going to retrieve the country name, and we just visualize in the JSON, and now as a content we are directing it into the web page. And for the second ones, we have one parameter started with. This time we are going to play with postman, and for this purpose I just opened the postman, and now we have successfully created the country start with and country get methods inside the razor models. And now as you can see that for the handlers we have handler, and now I just adding one parameter like handler countries, so it would populate all country list with the get method. So now you can see that all country list as session, and now we just have to change the URL like start with, and also need to add one more key which is start with, and here in this we will put one AR, and thus we can see that we have filtered countries over there. Now what we are going to do, we are going to play with post method, and for this purpose we are going to create one HTML layout in which we will demonstrate all these three by using AJAX calling. So for this purpose we are going to create 3 anchor tag, and we have already created these tags, so that is why I am just going to paste it over here. So now you can see that we have one anchor with link all countries, and second one with all countries started with, and third one would be a post in which we are going to update the country. So all countries, country they started with, and update countries. Now for the respective links we are going to create the respective first functions which is given there on the on click, and also one divergence in which the result would be appear. So results will be here. Now we are going to create 3 JavaScript functions: on click get countries, on click get countries start with, and on click update countries. We have also added the reference of JQuery 3.3.1 from Google's APIs, and we are going to write some code inside the get countries. So we will use the AJAX functions which is given there in JQuery. So for this purpose we just want to be sure that our function is following whenever we are clicking on countries, whenever we are clicking on get countries started with. So that is why I have just mentioned the console log, so that parallelly in the log we can check that yes it has been clicked. So I have refreshed the page, and by using inspect elements in the console sections, if we click on all countries, get countries is here. Now country started with, so country started with here, update countries, so update countries here. So now we are sure that every function is working properly. Now I just adding AJAX functions here, and in AJAX functions we will use get method for the first 2 functions. So we have pre-created some snippet here that I will paste it. So as you can see that for the type we have defined get. For the URL, so we need to put the URL of handler base, and that would be handler. And now in question mark we will have to put handler equal to, so the first handler is the name of page, and the second handlers which is passing as a parameters is the predefined handlers which will act as the method's name. As we have method's name was on get countries, so on get is skipped, and now we have used countries as handlers. Now the content type would be JSON. So application JSON, and now you can see that I'm going to just remove all unwanted snippet and want to add our. So whatever the response we are getting, we are going to put it into result section. So for this I just write as results.html response. So our get countries functions look like this. And now if we will refresh the page, and we will also looking into the inspect section, which we can get by right clicking and inspect element. Otherwise we can also click F12. And as we will get the response into JSON format. So what we want that all the country list should be appears there in list. So for this purpose, what we are going to do, we are going to use for each, and then after we are going to traverse through the each results, and we will append them into the result section. Inside the array I. For the each click, I am just clearing the complete HTML of result, so that each time whenever we will click, first we will get loading, and then after, as soon as the AJAX call would be completed, all the list would be populated inside the result. So I just clicked on all countries, and I will also looking into the console. So now we can see that as soon as I make call, and I got all the countries list here. So because the data is already in JSON formats, I do not have to parse it again. So I'm just going to use response as it is. So I just clicked on all countries, and now you can see that all the data is there in the result section. But the data is append as usual. So for this purpose, what we are going to do, I am just going to add extra elements over there, div with string concatenation sign, so that it would be arranged. So I just clicked on, and now you can see loading is there. So we also need to remove the loading. So for this purpose, we have to set something like header, and I'm going to write all countries here it is. In the network sections, we can see that the URL is created by this. We are getting 200. We do not have anything problematic here, and the last one is query string parameter is countries. We are going to update the update countries methods, and for it I just copied the previously created snippet, and I am just going to change the type of the AJAX call, which is post, and also we are going to remove the unwanted URLs from the URL, and now it's handler, and we are going to define the data which we will post here. So for it, just giving the country and something like XYZ. So I just checking here in the post methods which we will get here. So there are two ways: either we can define a string countries over there in the parameters, or else we can get from the memory string. So right now I have just declared a string countries, but later on we will remove it. So the country and XYZ, which we will change from here. Yes, like this. So the data type which we will fetching from here would be JSON, application JSON, and the data type which we will sending from here would be JSON. And now what we want, that whatever the response we are getting after the post, we will just set into the inner HTMLs of the results element which we have created. Seems everything is okay, and now we just need to run the applications and see how the code is behaving. So we will have proper logs, we will inspect the network, and we will also see how we are getting the status from the response. So just clicked on an application, and now we will explore the client page, and we'll click on the third options, update country. So the updating text is here, but if we can see the inspected network, what we can see in the handlers, we are getting 400 BAT request. So the URL is same and we are sending the same data, but we are getting 400 errors. So now what we need to do, we need to add anti-forgery tokens, which is mandatory in the AspTricks.net core by default, because it's enabled for the post and put methods, which prevent the CSRF attack, in which any attackers send us the miscellaneous links, and if we click on links, what the link does, it try to authenticate with the previously authenticated request and sends some data to the applications to perform any operations. So to prevent such kinds of attack, we are just sending the XSRF tokens, which would be unique for the each request. And now we have just sent CSRF tokens and just clicked on, we are verifying in the inspect elements, we have CSRF anti-forgery tokens generated. And now looking into the network sections, what we can see, still it's 400 bad requests. So now we need to enable into the startup.cs, so that whatever the header we are sending as anti-forgery request tokens, we could resolve it. So for this, we are just going to add one services in configure service section, which would be and we can customize this header name, so we will not have to worry about the specific names whatever we are sending into header. So we can set it here. So as you can see, service.anti-forgery, and defining an options of the lambda and option dot so header name, this is the customized header names which we can set, and the same we can post from the client XSRF tokens. Option, we can also suppress the XFrames option headers. So now I have set it to false. I have removed the params countries and changed the return types as action result, and also pasted some predefined snippets which will resolve the all strings coming from the request, and will get the request body as a string over here. So I ran the application, and now it should be there on the breakpoints, because now we should not get 400 bad requests. So as soon as I clicked on update countries, yeah, so we are here. Now you can see in the request body, currently it is null, but now countries XYZ, the same which we are sending through the client. You can see in the payload request, we have sent the same data. We are also setting the headers XSRF tokens. We have setted the URL header, and now as soon as I release the breakpoints, you can see the status code would be 200. Okay, yes, so status code is green 200. Okay, but still the text is not updated contributed over there in the section. So for it, what we need to do, we need to change the return type of text from the JSON. So for it, we need to remove the action results, and we need to add action JSON result, and in the result sections return new JSON result. Now after clicking on update countries, the response should be 200 OK, and the returned data would be in JSON format country added, and that should be appears in the client page result section country added. So inspecting, now you can see country added. Whoa, we have cross verified the preview, all the headers is right. Okay, so now very soon we are going to see what if we do not want anti-forgery tokens from the each request. So for it we need to disable it, and to disable it we can globally disable into the start.cs, as we have globally enabled into SRS XSRF tokens headers name in add anti-forgery services. So like this, we are again going to modify the uppers add MVC and service dot add MVC dot. Here we need to hit razor page options, and in this sections we have conventions.configure filters, and in this sections we can set ignore anti-forgery tokens attribute, and by enabling these services we will able to make post calls without any anti-forgery tokens. So I just removed the anti-forgery tokens, just clicked on. So exploring the client page, and again we'll click on update country. Now we got the results, and the country added text is this. So now the same things I think we need to verify it in the postman, and for this I am just going to open the postman. So let's open the postman very quickly. So by exploring these demos, now I think this is the sufficient demo in which we know that how to make AJAX post call in ASP.NET Core Razor page. So I just copied the URL, just adding the raw body raw add session countries, and right this time instead of XYZ I'm going to write India, and we just clicked on send. So as we can see in raw we have client page. Okay, so we need to change the URL. So the URL should be handler as soon as I clicked on send. So now we can see in the raw we have country added adjacent and status code is 200. Okay, so everything is okay now.